Hey there, it's Clay, and today we're going to be talking about 5 things that people who are not successful in getting back together with their ex do, so that you can know if there's anything that you need to correct in your approach, because it might accidentally end up sabotaging you. But first, my name is Clay with Modern Love Life, where we help you get the great, loving relationship that you're looking for without having to play mind games, without having to play hard to get, and without having to pretend to be someone or something that you are not, because you deserve to be loved for the unique, amazing, and wonderful person that you are. And if you agree with me, help me out with that YouTube algorithm by hitting that thumbs up button so that we can send a message to YouTube that these videos are helpful and that they can suggest them and show them to more people who might benefit from them. Help a guy out. Okay, and also feel free to subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you can get updates when we do post new videos as well. Before we go ahead and get into this, I also want to let you know that we're going to be talking about the process of getting back together with your ex. And if you do want to get our full guide and our full sort of roadmap for how to do all of this, we do have our course called the X Solution Program. You can find a link for that down in the description box below this video. If you are interested in learning more about it, check it out. Or if you want to sign up, go ahead and do that down there. If it's not right for you, no worries. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this. So once again, as I said yesterday in yesterday's video, I've been working with people since 2009 to help them save their relationship. And in that time, I've noticed a lot of trends. Obviously, I've gone through my own breakups and kind of learned from those as well, too. But there are a couple of trends that I've noticed. And these sort of make me think, this person might have a tough time. So the first one is that they tend to get caught up in their BS machine. Now, you probably know what the BS machine is from watching some of these other videos on this channel, but if for some reason this is the first video of mine that you've seen, maybe because someone hit that thumbs up button, the BS machine is basically this part of your mind that tries to make sense out of things that it doesn't fully understand. And it often tries to make sense of it through the filter of fears, insecurities, doubts, anxieties, limiting beliefs, worst case scenario predictions, things like that, right? So, something happens you don't understand. Like maybe you texted your ex, maybe several hours ago, maybe a day ago, they haven't responded. We don't know why. Your BS machine may rush to try to say, well, obviously, they don't care. They don't care. They're moving on. They are trying to let me down easy. They're trying to send a message. They're hoping I take a hint or something like that. And these are all things that potentially could be true, but they're also very slanted towards the negative, obviously. Like, we don't know. Potentially, they are just maybe thinking about how to reply in a thoughtful way, and they just need a little bit more time to really think it out. Or maybe they're not sure how they feel right now, and they're trying to just give a little bit of time to let it sink in. Or maybe they've been busy with something, and they just haven't had the chance to check their phone. Or maybe something really stressful is happening in their life. Or maybe they're trying to arrange something on their side of things, and they don't want to get back together or back in contact with you until they actually have some solid information, like, oh, hey, yeah, I can meet up because I actually do have that day clear on my schedule or something like that. So just know that your BS machine is probably going to steer you towards thinking the worst in a situation, and it may actually cause you to sabotage yourself many times. I've worked with people who have had a lot of issues with their BS machine, so that is definitely something that you want to get handled, because it can absolutely keep you from getting back together with your ex. The second thing that people do who are less successful is that they tend to play games. Now, obviously, this does include things like mind games, reverse psychology, trying to make your ex jealous and things like that. But this also includes other sorts of games that people can play. So, for example, one of the games that people play is like, oh, well, I want them to initiate contact with me first. I do all of the initiating. I want them to initiate contact with me. So they might do things like send, these cryptic messages that are like, hey, I have something really important to tell you, ... And then they kind of wait for their ex to initiate contact with them. And do these things work? Maybe, sometimes. But the thing is, are they actually allowing you to make progress towards what is important? Now, in My philosophy on relationships and the way I see things, the most important thing is the emotional connection. It's not who's initiating contact. It's not who's flirting. It's not who's jealous. It's not any of these sorts of other things that maybe people sometimes focus on. So what I want you to do, and if we do work together in some capacity, if we do coaching together, or if you take like ESP or some other course that we do, what I want you to do is I want you to focus on the emotional connection, because in my philosophy, that is more important than who's initiating contact, than who's flirting, than all these other sorts of things. These sorts of things start to snap into place once the emotional connection actually gets cleared up and strengthened, right? So the reason that your ex isn't initiating contact with you is because they're having some sort of emotional experience that says, hey, it's not safe to do that. I'm not ready for that. That's too much. I feel too hurt, or something else. And until we can address these underlying emotional issues, sending a cryptic message or something like that isn't going to help. So don't play games. Focus on what actually matters in a relationship, which again, if you're going to follow my advice, you're going to get tired of hearing this, but it's the emotional connection. I can't vouch for anyone else who says it's, mind games and we all want what we can't have and all that. I mean, if that's your school of thought, go take advice from those people. I'm probably just going to frustrate you, to be honest. The next thing that people who have a hard time getting back together, or who fail at getting back together, do is that they focus on shoulds rather than what is real. That is to say, they focus on philosophically nice ideas like, well, relationships are supposed to be 50-50. I put in my 50%, so I'm just going to kick back and wait for them to put in their 50%. Or some other sort of ideal like, well, they broke up with me, therefore they should be the one that comes back to me. So I'm just going to wait for that to happen, because that would be the nice ideal thing to happen. But the thing is that although these things might be nice, if they're not actually happening, then you just kind of end up getting stuck. And I would rather have you focus on what is real and work with what is real, rather than some sort of philosophical ideal that maybe isn't kind of pulling together in your reality. Now, if it is showing up in your reality, great, cool, go with it. But if it's not showing up in your reality, then we need to focus on what is real rather than some sort of philosophical idea, like, like men should always pursue the woman, or, things like that. Like, we need to focus on what's real rather than what would be ideal, or what would be nice to happen, or what should happen, okay? The fourth thing that people who don't get back together with their ex do is that they don't take a stand for themselves when they need to. Now, sure, there may not be a necessary need for you to do this in your situation. I don't know the specifics of it, but there may come a point in time when you need to take a stand for what's important to you, your own values, your own integrity, and all of that. And this has to come from a genuine sense of composure within yourself, a genuine sense of values, knowing what's true for you and all of that. I know that oftentimes we get so fixated on the other person, analyzing their moves. Why were they, on that social media thing last night, but they didn't message me? Why did they, read the message but not respond? Why did they block me and then unblock me? Why did they say this cryptic thing to me? What did it mean when they said that they were going to do this, but then they didn't do it? Or what did it mean when they said they weren't going to do that, but then they did do it? We get so lost analyzing the other person that oftentimes we can lose touch with ourselves and what we want. And when we lose touch with ourselves and what we want, we kind of get lost in this whole thing, and we start to feel really anxious. We start to not think that our needs are important. And you may not be consciously thinking that, because you could just be so focused on your ex that you don't even realize that you kind of like lost touch with your own needs and your own values and what you actually need yourself as a person. So definitely be aware of yourself and what you need, and definitely when it comes time to it, enforce some boundaries. Sure, do it in a loving sort of way. I mean, you don't have to be like hard about it or make it into some sort of like ultimatum or anything, but just sort of lovingly enforce some boundaries when you need to. And the fifth thing that people who don't get back together with their exes do is that they're driven by fear or trying to look good. Okay. Now, what do I mean by this? I mean that there's often a fear that people have that, like, oh, if I do this, I might look desperate. If I do this, I might not look, like the alpha male or like the prize or something like that. And here's the thing, there are people that can teach you how to do that. There are people that can teach you how to look high status and how to, be the prize and how to, do all of these other things. But again, we want to focus on what is real rather than what would be a nice ideal, a should, right? And that is that making a relationship work isn't always going to be about looking good. You can look good and you can have a relationship work, but those two things are not always going to be the exact same thing. People come to me because they want to get their relationship to work, and that's what I will guide them towards. I will not necessarily guide them towards looking good. They might end up looking good in the process, but they also might end up, not looking good in the process, because making a relationship work is about that emotional connection, not about just looking good yourself, not about looking like you have it all together and like you're, some sort of like impeccable person out there or anything like that. If that is who you are, cool. But if that's not who you are, then that's fine too. Join the rest of us, right? None of us are really all that perfect. None of us have it all together. I know I certainly don't. After 38 years, I hope I'm making a little bit of progress, but hey, there's still a long way to go. Ask my wife. But what you want to do is you want to focus on what actually matters, and that is what's going to bring you and your ex back together if you want this to happen. If you want this to happen smoothly and if you want this to happen as quickly as possible, you need to focus on what's going to bring the two of you back together. And this may not involve you looking good, you looking high status, you looking totally put together and composed, you playing it safe, all of these sorts of things. You have to be willing to take a risk sometimes if you want to get a good, strong outcome of actually getting back together. If, on the other hand, you're choosing to play the game of I want to look good and I don't particularly care if I get my ex back, that's okay. Again, I'm just probably not your guy. You should probably just go find someone out there who's going to show you how to look good and get the results of looking good. I don't know. But if you want the results of actually having a relationship that works where the two of you can get back together, that's my specialty. But anyway, yeah, those are the 5 things that I've noticed that people who have a hard time getting back together with their ex struggle with. And once again, these are all things that we talk about and cover inside of our course, the X Solution Program. If you do want to learn more about that, you can find it down in the description box below this video. But once again, my name is Clay with modernlove.life. If you like what we're doing here, again, help me out by hitting that thumbs up button and by subscribing to this channel. If you do want to learn more about these 5 stages that your ex goes through on the journey of getting back together with you, you might want to check out this video series over here, or you might want to check out this video right here. But thank you so much. Please take care, and I'll talk to you next time.